All right, it is Sunday afternoon. It is about 3:30, and I got back a little while ago from hanging out with Mello, and that makes 4 days in a row of nonstop activities. So, in the past 7 days, I've driven around 700 miles. I went back and forth to Prescott last Saturday. Then I was in downtown Phoenix on Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. I think it was Friday. And then I was in Tucson yesterday. And today, Mel and I went to go eat brunch. Then we went to do other stuff. Then went to the pet store. And then we went to the grocery store. So she started texting me at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was getting ready to go to the gym. And I asked her if she wanted to go with me, but she didn't want to. Mello isn't about that life, the gym life. Anyhow, I've been incredibly busy. I've been trying to post as many shorts as I can, but I know the people that watch this channel aren't really interested in shorts. So, without further ado, let's get into today's monologue. Millions of workers didn't retire, didn't win the lottery, and didn't vanish into thin air. They were pushed out of the system that pretended to need them. From grocery store clerks to farmhands, entire industries are now operating with skeleton crews and crossed fingers. The news won't say it outright, but this is the fallout of a broken labor model that relied on invisible hands doing impossible work for unsustainable wages. And now that those hands are gone, the cracks are becoming too big to ignore. I've been saying this for years, people. And this morning I was watching The Epic Economist while Mello got her nails done in the lobby. And I've been saying this for 10 years, maybe longer, that this was going to happen. There is a certain part of our society that has to be sacrificed in order for us to have nice things. And this morning, while I was listening to the Epic Economist, and he said, in order to get people to do these jobs, you're going to have to pay them $30+ an hour. What have I been telling you guys for years? The minimum wage should be between $25 to $50 an hour. That's no joke, because that's what it costs to live in America. We shouldn't be house poor. I should be able to walk into any bank right this minute and buy a house. If I wanted a new car, I should be able to buy a new car. Instead, I'm trapped in this tiny hellhole of an apartment with a piece of crap car and an even worse job because it doesn't pay anything. When it comes down to what you make and what the cost of living is, you need an entire class of people that will work for $7.25 an hour, the federal minimum wage. But when those people vanish, the people that are going to take their place are not going to be happy with having nothing, having to live like I do. Busting your hump at an evil corporation 5 days a week, stress coming out of your rear end, nonstop workload. For what? So I can afford to live here? Yeah, that's not going to happen. No one is going to come to save us. We are screwed to the nth degree. There are literally hundreds of thousands of labor jobs out there that no one's going to do. I don't care what Trump says. No one's going to work in a factory for minimum wage. Why would you do that to yourself? Let's get into talking point number one. The disappearance of hundreds of thousands of migrant low-wage workers isn't just a labor issue. It's a fundamental collapse. The economy was never designed to function without underpaid, invisible workers holding it up. When you look at a Walmart worker, do you see another human being? When you think about who prepared your chicken or beef or pork while you're getting a recipe ready to make dinner, do you think about what the life was like of the person who made it possible for you to pay how little you pay for meat? Because those people in the meat packing industry, they have a very hard life. It is not an easy life to be a laborer. I say this all the time. The hardest working people in our society have the least amount of resources available to them. About 10 years ago, they did a documentary on people who were here from Latin America who were working in sweatshops, working in temp jobs, in factories. They made so little money that everything that they made from their job had to go directly back into just paying their rent. So they were living here in the same conditions that they tried to escape from Latin America. Because no migrant comes to America to become the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. They come here to do the work that no one else wants to do. And when you say you don't want those people in your country because I I don't understand it myself. These people come from terrible conditions to work in the worst conditions, and you're saying you don't want them because you just don't want them in your country. And when that happens, that work just doesn't disappear. Someone has to do it. And unless, and this is my thought on this, and put in the comments what you guys think of this, we're getting to a future where whether or not you want to work, you will have to work. Why do you think this president cut benefits to all those people who could get food stamps, who could get Medicaid, and who could get Section 8 housing? There's a reason behind that. They know that there are people out there who are working just enough so that they don't have to work super hard, so they don't have to work in meatpacking factories. They know that the more they take away from you, the more hard up you're going to get. And again, I know I'm going to be right on this, but they're going to start forcing people to work. Not because you want to work or because you think it's a good idea to take one of those jobs. We're getting to a point in this country where the government is going to tell you you have to work. You're not going to be able to sit at home and hide out at your parents' house. We're getting to a point where it's going to be impossible for you not to work. Like it's going to be a requirement of your existence to fill those jobs. And I know you're thinking, Millennials team, you're crazy. No, they have to fill those jobs. Society fundamentally falls apart if you don't have a slave class within your society. They're going to force you to take those farm jobs, those factory jobs, those jobs that only the worst off people in our society would do. I know that's going to happen. If you look at what the way that they're handling, the current administration is handling the economy, there's no other way than saying you have to work there. And it's not going to be pretty because unlike the epic economist who says, oh, they're just going to have to pay people more. No, they're going to pay you exactly what they were paying those people that you threw out of your country. You're going to have to pay those wages to keep those prices the same because otherwise, what happens? The middle class can't afford to pay $35 an hour to someone who's working in a restaurant. It's just not going to happen. Something bad's going to happen to you. And I know it for a fact because if you look at all the clues right now, it doesn't make any sense unless you're planning on throwing your lowest class citizens under the bus. And Trump will be driving that bus, and you will not be able to get out of the way. Talking point number 2. As migrant workers vanish, so does the fragile balance that keeps food cheap, shelves stocked, from agriculture to construction to restaurants. We're now watching in real time what happens when an exploited workforce walks away and nobody's ready to replace them. This script was obviously taken from the latest episode of The Epic Economist. These people aren't walking away. They were forced out. These people allowed us, people like me, to be able to pay a certain amount of money for the goods that we buy every day. But when people like me now have to go do those jobs, well, what am I going to buy with a sub $10 an hour job? I won't be able to buy anything. I can't live off $10 an hour. I can't work three jobs that pay $10 an hour and expect to be able to survive. It's not feasible in this economy. You can't make enough. And we're seeing that. I mean, yesterday in Tucson was disgusting. I thought the homeless problem in the Phoenix area was bad. Tucson was 10 times worse. I mean, and it wasn't just in one part of the city. We drove around all over the place, and they were everywhere. Parks, benches, bus stops, bridges, gas stations, sides of the road. The first thing I saw when I got to Tucson, literally, I came off the off ramp and I'm getting ready to turn into the city. And what is there? A homeless guy waving at me. He walks over to my car and starts making signs with his hands to lower the window. Like, I'd never seen the homeless come up to someone's car before like that and actually like try to ask you for directly for money inside of your car. That was my introduction to Tucson. But if there's any indication of what bad things are going to happen, imagine a grocery store that can't find anyone who's willing to sacrifice themselves. It's not about motivation of people who want to do those jobs. It's about having a system in place that's going to have to return the balance of our society. And the balance is pretty much going to look like a plantation. You may not want to work at that plantation, but guess what? You qualify. You're able-bodied. That's why they're making certain that they make life so difficult for you, so unbearable. You will own nothing and be happy. That's what's happening in our current society. They are going to tighten the screws around your boys until you have to scream. Because that's the only way that such a migrant dependent society. Because think about every time that you interact with one of these people, you don't even try to talk to them. You don't see them. They're as invisible as a ghost, but they're there, working behind the scenes every day in the back of restaurants, building homes. We've all seen those people outside of Home Depot. We've seen them in the town of Guadalupe where they all stand around. I used to pass them every single day for months at a time when I was working at Insight, because my path to Insight took me right past them, and there was a few hundred guys out there in the morning. And when I was working the early morning shift, I think it started at 6 or 7. I can't remember. It's been a few years. There was tons of them. When I started working at 9, these were all the guys that were either too old or someone didn't like the way they looked or the way that they spoke. But there'd be always a few guys lingering there who couldn't get work that day for some reason or another. But they're there, and they know where they're at. And so they've gone into places perpetually looking for people who look a certain way. And there's a reason why you have entire communities of people that look the same, that live together in communities. Because just like with Chinatown or Koreatown, whatever town, minorities have a tendency to go to places where there's that culture, that sense of community among them. So the deportation people, they know where they're at. But for the rest of us, until now, we didn't think much of it. We don't think much if Consuelo doesn't come back tomorrow. If your cleaning lady suddenly no call, no shows, and you never see her again, you know what happened. In fact, someone told me a story about that, where their cleaning lady just one day just vanished off the face of the earth. It's not like you can get to call your lawyer. they take you away. And if you're unfortunate enough to end up at Alligator Alcatraz, well, thoughts and prayers, people. Thoughts and prayers. Talking point number 3. While everyday Americans are being laid off in waves, we're also being told to just get another job, often in industries that are collapsing from labor shortages themselves. The cruel irony: we're stuck between an economy that doesn't want us and a system that punishes us for not fitting in. I'm going to use Astra again as the example. Astra's been laid off 3 times in the past year. She's currently driving for DoorDash or Uber Eats, one of those driving things. And I believe next month she's switching careers entirely. She's tired of being laid off in the tech industry. So even though all of her education and all of her experiences is in tech, she's tired of being laid off. So she's going to go into finance. And you know what? If you read her comments, she says the exact same thing. It's only a matter of time before I get laid off, because our economy is shrinking. You know this because you see the restaurants that are going under. I was at a Starbucks on Wednesday or Thursday. I think I was at a Starbucks on Thursday. I've been to a Starbucks every day with a new girl. And when we were there, we were the only paying customers. The only other people there were homeless people drinking water. And I remember as we were getting ready to leave, a homeless woman came in and asked to use the bathroom. And the girl behind the counter, who couldn't have been a day over 19, said to the homeless lady, "Sorry, they're for paying customers only." And it was really kind of a strange feeling, because you're looking around and you're like, is this a homeless shelter? Yesterday, on our way to Tucson, we ended up stopping to get something to drink at another Starbucks, and this Starbucks was huge. It was the size of a small cafeteria. We were the only people in there. The only ones, too. And today, Mello and we got I think we got a lemonade. I think she got a lemonade. We were walking out of the Kroger's, and she's like, "Damn it, I forgot to get something to drink." And we walk over there, and guess what? Sitting at the table right across from us was another homeless guy. And I don't blame them, because it's 110 degrees right now. The last time I looked at the temperature on my screen, it is hot, people. I got really sunburned yesterday from riding bikes in Tucson. I will never do that trail. I will never go outside in Arizona again in the month of July. July is the hottest month of the year here in Arizona. Yeah, it's 110 degrees right now. It was about 100 in Tucson yesterday, but it was freaking hot. I don't know how people just don't fall over from the heat. I still feel bad from the heat. Like this morning when I woke up, I think Mello woke me up at around, I think I'd just gotten up. I think it was like 8:30. I remember it was getting ready to go to the gym. So probably like 8:15, 8:30. I still felt terrible from getting severely dehydrated yesterday and then getting 3 sheets to the wind last night. I was just like, oh my God. It was a rough morning. I've only just recently started feeling better, like in the last hour or so. It was a tough nut to be outside. But the irony of an economy that doesn't want the very people that it needs in order to continue being a job economy. Because most of us don't imagine ourselves being highly educated like myself and working as a laborer. But what do you do when those jobs are the only ones that are available? I haven't worked minimum wage jobs my entire life because I wanted to. Sometimes you have to work these jobs because there's nothing else. Desperation creates need. A need exploits the people that come to its door. Like I remember clearly when I was working at Walmart, the general manager was a piece of crap human being, like absolute true human garbage. And I remember the way that he would treat workers belittling grown men, belittling a 40-year-old man for being 5 minutes late or not stocking the shelves correctly or having that attitude that you're not going to do maximum effort for minimum wage. They don't want anyone there that's not going to be exploited to the nth degree. They want people working in these places that are going to work like the owner for peanuts. That's all they want is peanuts. And when you think of what you're going to do with this paycheck, what are you going to do with it? I mean, this, for some reason, YouTube this morning recommended videos about people getting their car repossessed, which might be an omen, if anything else. It's like, okay, we're all heading that way. And it's unfortunate because we all like to believe that it's not going to happen to us. Well, remember, you're about one paycheck away from that happening to you. All right, let's do our closing monologue. This isn't just a labor story. It's a warning shot. We've spent decades building an economy on cheap, disposable labor, and now the bill is due. Whether through policy, burnout, or desperation, the people holding this country together are walking away. And until we reckon with that truth, expect more empty shelves, higher prices, and a system searching for workers who no longer want to be found. Believe me, when you're chained to a Walmart wall and you're stocking shelves with the other hand, you're going to remember this. You're going to remember what you've done to yourself. Because the worst part is, somehow someone voted for this. Someone didn't see what was coming. But it's the very people who believe that things will get better, that things will change, that somehow the world's going to be fair to you. I assure you, this world wasn't put here to be nice to you. It was here to motivate you with a car battery directly attached to your junk.